I'm so happy to be with you. And we will have a very good 3 days together. As you have rightly said, Africa, all 54 countries are the larger wheat importing countries in the world. But in Africa, we have now the technology, we have the land suitable for wheat production. In Mauritania, Mali, Niger, Senegal, Cameroon, all West Africa countries now, we have very good wheat technologies. We developed with ICARDA in the last 7 years. We have very good varieties. I will show you in the presentation. Okay, leave it. Then, okay. So in these 3 days, what I want to show you, how we can grow wheat here in West Africa, and what are the important technology package, starting from land preparation to harvest, processing, and marketing. As you know, we Africa, we cannot stay the way we are, being a major importer of wheat. We are spending every year $15 billion to import wheat from Ukraine, Russia, America, Canada, Australia. This is not acceptable. We cannot continue the way we are. Because by doing so, we are importing poverty to Africa, and we are exporting jobs and our meager hard currency to create jobs for other Western countries. So this, as you said, this is the time now we Africans should work together to expand wheat production so that we feed ourselves. So in the coming today and tomorrow, I will present to you the most important technological package, extension package, and on the third day, Wednesday, you will have group presentation, discussion, group work, and presentation to see and understand how much you got the concept, and we make interactions, we make discussions. So by Wednesday, I want to see you, you go with your country with good understanding for you to promote wheat production in your country. ICARDA, and I am TAT wheat coordinator of the African Development Bank. I am coordinating the wheat project in Africa. I want to work with all of you to promote the heat-tolerant varieties and to grow wheat in the coming years in your country so that you are able to produce and feed your people in your country. Not importing from Ukraine or Russia or America. This is possible. So this is the 3-day program which I'm having with you. But I have one question. How many of you have you seen wheat crop? Can you raise your hand? 1, 2, 3. 4. The others you have not seen wheat crop. So let us start by showing you the video to see what wheat looks like in Africa, here in Mali, Niger, Nigeria. I want to show you first the video for you to understand how the wheat can grow in your country. Your country have huge potential. You can grow wheat. We have technologies now. Is it clear? Should we start with this video to see how the wheat looks like? I know you are eating bread. But the bread is coming either from Ukraine or Europe, Russia, or... but now we should stop you as a major change agent to promote wheat production in Africa. And I'm very passionate. You can ask me anytime in between if you have any question. Very interactive. And I'm very passionate about wheat. I want to see wheat growing in your respective countries. And at the end, after 3 days, we will communicate all the address, and we will initiate a program in your country to promote wheat production. Is it okay? You all agree? Thank you very much. So let me start with a video. He is getting 4 to 6 tons per hectare. This farmer. And he's saying, I am improving my life. I am getting more income. And from my income, I am sending, as you can see, my children to school. I am feeding my family. And I am hoping that the future is much better. I can be a rich farmer. Thank you for the technology he is saying. He is now expanding in 1,200 fedan. Fedan in Sudan is around 250 hectares. Look how it looks like in America or like in Europe. This is another farmer giving witness. My production was very low in the past, he said. But with the new variety of SARDC and TAAT project, with good technology, I am increasing my productivity by 4-fold, he said. 4 times. And I'm making profits, high yield, and also high price. And the government is buying from me because instead of buying from Europe or America, now government is buying from our wheat farmers, so we are getting good market, he's saying. This is the president of Sudan who was visiting the wheat field. His Excellency, you know, because now the government, they saw it and they decided to grow and expand wheat in the country. So political decision happened because the technology is bringing change. This is another farmer. Look, he was getting only 1 ton before. After 2 years, he's getting 4 tons per hectare. Can you see? From 1 ton to 4 tons. And now he's getting 5 tons. So it is possible for Africa to grow more wheat and to feed our Africa 1.3 billion people. Because every day everybody is eating bread, noodles, spaghetti, macaroni, but all coming from Australia, America, Canada. They become rich, we become poor. We have to reverse this. I believe with you together we can make it. This is the Bank of Sudan. After they saw the technology, he is a manager. He is now willing to give loan for the farmers to buy fertilizer, seed, because he believes farmers are more profitable and productive with the improved technology. This is he witnessing. And he said in the past, when we give loan, credit to the farmers, we only get 40% return. But with these new varieties now, since farmers are getting good market, 98% of the farmers are paying back the credit after harvest. 350,000 fedan now, you know, in the country. They buy the grain from the farmers. Is there anyone who speaks Arabic? But so the president is visiting with farms, and he said, we will no more import. We will produce. We will support our farmers. We will expand with production. And this is the kind of success we want to repeat in your country. It is possible. This is the President of Sudan and the Minister of Agriculture. So we are making a plan for next year, how to expand further. This is a meeting with all stakeholders. This is Chris, the TAAT coordinator. He was also visiting. You can see people from Niger, Mali, Mauritania also. They were participating in this visit. He's from Cameroon. He's a TAAT coordinator. He was in this field and witnessing. Yes, it is possible to do it also in Cameroon. It's possible to do it in West African countries. He's saying, if Sudan is doing this, why not we do the same? Because the agroecology of Sudan is similar, like in Mauritania, Mali, Niger, Nigeria, Cameroon, Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire. This is similar agroecology. The same type agroecology. He is Dr. Olabanje from Nigeria. You can see all of them. We are sharing experience. We are taking countries to learn from one another. I want you to be passionate for the wheat. We have to be. Now the Nigeria government this year planned to expand in 2 years 500,000 hectares. He's from Zambia. He's from Mali. From Kenya. We took countries to share experience. From Niger. This is from Sudan. The farmer who is very happy because with the technology, he is now having a very good housing, very good, decent house. And he planned to buy a car for his wheat to transport fertilizer seed next year from his income. She's from Kenya. She's from Zimbabwe. So we were having a final, all the countries sharing experience. And the president was highly thankful to African Development Bank for supporting this project for African. He's the CARDA Director General, my Director General. He's the President of Sudan. And I was, yes. So Sudan now become more than 50% now self-sufficient. And they plan to be fully self-sufficient in 3 years' time. By 2024, they have a plan not to import wheat, to stop wheat importation, and save $600 million. Every year, they spend $600 million. Okay. I think we have another videos, maybe later. Now we can start the work, okay? Now, those who don't know crop, the wheat, do you have some idea what the wheat looks like in Africa? Please ask questions. If you have any question, any clarification, you are most welcome.
Ma question, sur quel terrain peut-on cultiver le blé? Est-ce que cette culture est très exigeante que l'on ne peut pas la pratiquer dans beaucoup de pays? Est-ce que la culture de blé est très exigeante?
Thank you. That's why the variety we have is heat tolerant. You know, in the past, wheat was not growing in Africa because of extreme temperature. Now, with Icarda, we developed heat tolerant varieties that can survive up to 40 degrees centigrade. That's why we are now able to produce wheat in Africa. In the past years, it was not possible. It was a crop in the temperate area. It was a crop in the temperate area in Europe, America, cold environment. But thanks to African scientists, now we develop wheat variety very much suitable to West African hot environment. The wheat can grow, resist the temperature 38, 40 degrees, and give high yield like the way it gives in Europe, in America, Australia. And the soil type, wheat needs sandy loam and clay loam soil. So there is no problem of adapting to African soil condition. It can do very well. So we will see how we are also on the agronomic part as we move forward. Thank you. Okay.
But then, just to quickly throw this one. Go. I want to ask, if we can grow wheat, what are the likely crops that, for example, now, that we can grow together on the same land? A land that can produce rice, that can produce maize, can it likely produce wheat?
Yes. Very good question.
That's number one.
Okay.
Two, if this can produce wheat and rice, what of some of the problem of pest? Rice has to do with pest, especially when it comes to these birds, ravens.
Yeah.
So is wheat also having the same problem?
Yes.
If it is so, how do you surmount that?
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will see the wheat growing environment in Africa where we can grow wheat. And as you said it, wheat is not competing rice. For example, wheat is growing in West Africa from November to March. And rice comes after March. So wheat is fitting during the cold season, normally during the cold season. So we can grow 2 crops or more than 2 crops in a year. No problem. So wheat is fitting normally this season from November to March. No other crop is growing. But now wheat is coming during the time where we keep our land fallow. So we are bringing more income for farmers because wheat is growing very well during November to March. Then, from April we can go rice, we can go maize, no problem. That is the biggest opportunity. If you have seen from the video, farmers increase their income because they were producing before cotton or maize or rice alone. Now we are bringing wheat, and in the same land, they can grow twice a year. And farmers are benefiting and becoming rich within a short period of time. And for wheat, the good side, the market is there. Because all countries are importing from outside. And instead of importing outside now, we link farmers to the millers so that they have good markets and reliable markets. The disease and pest, I will show you. Tomorrow will be one of the areas we discuss. There are, the heat-tolerant varieties are resistant to disease and pests. These are very good varieties. You don't have to spray. Or if you spray very little in some varieties. Otherwise, these varieties are high yielding, resistant to temperature, and resistant to disease and pests. Is it okay? For good wheat production in Africa. By the way, all the photo what you see, sorry, I don't have the pointer. This is a seedling stage. Maybe I can use this one. This is when it first germinates, it looks like this. We plant by row, then it grows like this. And this is the harvest of wheat. And this is a photo which I have taken from Mali, Niger, Mauritania, Nigeria, Sudan, Ethiopia, Kenya. So it is possible. In all your countries, it is possible to grow wheat. So, what are the areas we cover in the coming 2 days? The third day will be a practice day. We see what are the challenges and opportunities of wheat production in Africa. We will discuss. What opportunity do we have? And what are the problems we have on wheat production in Africa? Then we will discuss also today what are the different technologies available now in Africa. In terms of variety, seed multiplication, and also we will discuss from land preparation, irrigation management, weed management, and crop protection management. If you want to get good yield, you know, if you see on the video, one farmer, he was getting before 1 ton, yes? But with the right application of all varieties and management, he increased, if you remember from the video, he increased from 1 ton to 4 to 5 ton per hectare. So in those countries where there is good rainfall, we can grow wheat with rainfall. In most of West African countries with irrigation, we have excellent varieties. No matter how the temperature goes up, the heat-tolerant varieties are, as you saw in the video from Mali, they are excellent. So this is the map also shows where wheat is now adapting. You know, if you see the red one suitable for irrigation. If you see the green, suitable for rainfed. So now wheat can be grown anywhere. This is suitability map. So all, you know, West African, in the highland, under rainfed, in irrigated, we can grow wheat. Thank you very much. Okay.
À travers les présentations que vous avez avec, c'est vrai, ici on ne peut pas faire 24 heures sans goûter au blé, que ce soit par les pains, les croissants et autres, les spaghettis, etc. Mais ici au Niger, ce que moi j'ai remarqué, le blé est produit en irrigation, pas sous la pluie. Bon, et à travers votre exposé, vous avez dit qu'on peut produire les produits en irrigation ou bien sous la pluie. Mais ici, chez nous, en tout cas, ce que je sache ici au Niger, c'est en irrigation. Et c'est cultivé sur des aménagements hydro-agricoles de Kony, dans l'Irasiat, aussi c'est en irrigation. Vers l'est, pour Madougou, c'est en irrigation. Bon, je ne sais pas pourquoi ici, on n'arrive pas à cultiver ça avec la pluie, sans irrigation. Je ne sais pas, c'est dit. Et vous avez dit que le blé est moins exigeant en pluie. Mais pourquoi on ne produit pas ça pendant la saison de pluie? Là où on produit par exemple les vignes, les sorgho ou les maïs.
Varieties, I will show you later on. I have been to Kony area. We have excellent varieties for irrigated wheat. Under rainfall condition, usually the challenge is, by nature sometimes rainfall comes early or comes late, but if there is a reliable rainfall up to 350 millimeter and above, we can also grow wheat in this agroecology. But we recommend in West Africa countries, it is very reliable, economical, and bring more money for income for farmers if you grow heat-tolerant wheat varieties under irrigation. And we have seen also in Kony, it is doing excellent. What we need is to go scale, to expand. Otherwise, we have varieties, we have technologies, we have package ready. Under rainfed, it can grow, but the problem what we have today in Africa, because of climate change, the rain comes sometimes late, even sometimes don't rain, and sometimes excess rain. So, wheat can grow, but we cannot control nature. That is the challenge. But in West Africa, you have huge potential for irrigation. And developed countries, they really become food sustainable because they expand irrigation crop production. And in Africa, we have huge water resources. And with these good varieties, I assure you that we can be self-sufficient in 3 to 5 years time. But in the highland, where there is reliable rainfall, in the highland areas.
Ben, je voudrais savoir si dans le module on aura une partie où on traite un peu de la rentabilité de la production de blé par rapport à ce qui rentre dans le pays. Parce qu'on peut produire, mais les coûts de production seront tels que les acheteurs préféreront ce qui est importé. Donc, est-ce que cela est pris en compte dans les modules que vous allez nous présenter? Est-ce que les politiques ont été prises en compte pour peut-être financer, subventionner la production de blé, voilà, pour qu'elles puissent concurrencer les importations? Merci.
Tomorrow, we go and see the cost and return. Because at the end of the day, as you said, it must be profitable. So we will see tomorrow, after we see all the management, how much is needed for fertilizer, for seed, for irrigation, for labor, for harvesting. We have studied this. And how much yield is coming, and what is the rate of return. How much one farmer can get a profit from 1 hectare. So we will see, as you said it tomorrow, we will practice and you will be convinced. As you saw from the video, the farmer who said, now I used to get 1, with the same land now I'm getting 4 to 5 tons. 65 to 75% of his gross sale is a profit. And we'll see this tomorrow in details. Okay? Okay. Thank you very much. Let me add one thing. For you, we as an African, we have to speak also one secret. Wheat is not an economic crop. Wheat is a political crop. For example, if you see the Americans, the Canadian, Australia, and most of Europe, they are importing their wheat to Africa, as I said to you. Every year they are getting $15 billion from 54 countries. This is a big business for them. If there is no political commitment at a political level, they don't want Africa to produce wheat by its own. That's why we say wheat is a political crop, because we are creating jobs for them. We are creating income for them. If we Africans, if you don't work together, if you don't unite together, they are afraid that if we are becoming politically committed and expand wheat production, their wheat will not have market. Instead, they prefer to give us aid. That is the situation in this world today. Africa become completely dependent on their wheat production. Look what happened now in Ukraine and Russia crisis. Ukraine and Russia account 40% of the wheat imports coming into Africa. Now Russia stopped exporting. And Ukraine also stopped exporting. The problem is now our African leaders, even if we have dollar in the government, they don't have place to buy wheat. You can imagine. Which means there is no bread on the table. This is the situation. Just last week, the Africa Development Bank, together with Africa leaders, they have emergency meeting where I participated online. The bank realized that with the export stopped from Russia and Ukraine, most African countries who are buying now, the wheat price is going high in the international market. In 2 weeks' time, from $270 to $380 per ton. It increased $110. It is now forecasted it will go to $500 per ton at the export, at the destination. Which means the price of wheat will be doubled. So now the Africa Development Bank with Africa leaders are now initiating an emergency wheat program starting from coming season to expand wheat production. And I say this is a blessing in disguise. Because now we have the technology, we have the land, we have the people. If you really work hard this time and change the curve, we can no more dependent on Western countries. We can feed our people from the wheat produced in Africa. And I really want to advocate with you in your respective country to reach policymakers, to reach private sector, to reach Minister of Agriculture, to plan a big plan for next year. This is a blessing in disguise. And if you don't do it, I have to tell you an example in Sudan. A government increased the price of bread by 10 cents. People went on the street and they removed al-Bashir. It is because of bread price. And I believe if you don't work hard in Africa in the coming year to make bread available for the poor at a fair price, there will be a problem and chaos because African population is growing very, very fast. But what I assure you, together we have the technology, we have the land, we have the water, and with political will, which I'm really seeing very good, we can change this for a good opportunity for the wheat to grow and feed Africans in the coming years. Thank you. Thank you very much. Starting from planting to maturity, and the third stage is post-harvest training. So for a farmer to be very much successful, for a seed grower to be very much successful, for entire wheat production in the country to be very successful, there are 3 trainings required on improved wheat production techniques. If you have any question, you can stop me anywhere. So the pre-season training includes what are the proven technologies we have in terms of varieties? What good adaptable variety do we have? Before we start, any farmer, before he starts planting, during the pre-season training, we have to show farmers what are the good varieties growing in Niger, in Mali. We have to know the varieties we have at hand. And once we know the variety also, farmers should prepare. This is a preparatory training. What kind of seed should the farmer use? You know that seed is the most important component of wheat production for success. If you don't have the right variety, the right seed, all what we do in the field is going to fail. And the third and most important thing in wheat production, this is actually true for all crops, is land preparation. These are pre-season. Before we start planting, these three important things are very critical as a pre-season training. If you are extension coordinators or leaders, it is very important for the wheat, as I said, the three-stage pre-season training before planting starts. We should give training for our farmers, extension agents, seed producers on three important things. One is what kind of technology we have. The second is the seed that we are going to use. And the third is the land preparation. If one of them is failing, the whole effort that we do in planting, fertilizing, irrigating, all will not be successful. So we are going to discuss first these three important aspects. Is it clear? Okay. When you talk about wheat technologies, we have 5 critical recommendations which are very important for the crop if you talk about the technology. One is proven heat and drought tolerant wheat varieties. If you don't have heat tolerant varieties, there is no success. Luckily, we have heat tolerant varieties that are doing very good in all African countries now. Thanks to science and technology, and thanks to African researchers. The second is, even if we have heat tolerant varieties, if you don't have a good seed system, if you don't have a good seed system, and if farmers are not getting a good quality seed, it will not be successful because the seed germination will be very poor. And farmers should get all the time certified seed. We will discuss the seed system. The third is a mechanized raised bed technology for irrigated wheat production. For irrigation, we need to have mechanized tractors that can make furrow. So that this is very important for irrigation and fertilization. This is also a very important aspect that our farmers should get knowledge about it. The fourth is integrated soil fertility and crop management technologies. That means, as you earlier asked, what kind of soil are we going to produce? The type of soil is very important, as you asked. And the second is the fertility status of the soil. how much fertilizer do we need? This is a very important aspect of it. And how do we manage our field? Our farmers should have good knowledge for the wheat to be very successful. The other is, which you asked, integrated crop management measures. Crop protection measures means what kind of disease is affecting wheat? What kind of pests are affecting wheat? If a farmer doesn't know this, and if he sees disease in his farm, if he is not controlling, he will lose. And the fifth is harvest and post-harvest technology. It so happened many times, I should be very frank with you, some farmers who grow very good wheat, who get very good yield, if they don't keep it in a very good place, the weevil will attack and all will be lost. So these 5 components of technologies are very important for successful wheat production and harvest. These are heat-sensitive varieties. These are heat-tolerant varieties. These are heat-sensitive varieties. These are heat-tolerant varieties. So as I said, the number one condition for wheat production is the presence of a heat-tolerant wheat variety. You know, these are, the different heat-tolerant varieties, for example, released in Ethiopia, in Sudan, in Nigeria. I'm just bringing. These are Niger, Zimbabwe, Lesotho, Eritrea, Mauritania, Mali, Zambia, Tanzania, Kenya. So, a number of heat-tolerant varieties have been already released and available. We have varieties that can be very well adapted to Cameroon, very well adapted to Senegal, Burkina Faso, Niger. Yes, we have here already. So varieties are available. And to come back here, these are, the comparisons in the farmers who grow local varieties. Usually they get less than 2 tons per hectare, as I said. But farmers with the right technology and package, they get up to, as I said, up to 6 tons, 5 tons. So there is, having the right variety can make huge difference. And farmers were even allowed to see and check, because for farmers, seeing is believing. Farmers always, it's good to teach them, but it's very important for them to demonstrate and show. So what we do, and we start with you next year is, with the heat-tolerant varieties, we demonstrate on farmers' field compared to their local varieties. Thank you. It should have good baking and milling quality. So the heat-tolerant varieties are fulfilling these 4 criteria. And I expect when Monday or Wednesday, when we have group discussion, some of you to prepare and present, so that when you go home, you will be a wheat expert to teach for others. This is the whole purpose of this discussion. Is it okay? So a variety should have specific characters. When we talk heat tolerant, it's not only heat. It should have high yield. It should have tolerate temperature up to 38 and 40 degrees centigrade. it should be early to medium maturing, because we said from November to March, yes? And it should be resistant to disease and pest. And the fifth is, it should have good milling and baking quality. And we have these varieties have fulfilling all these important characters. That's why we can grow wheat as good as wheat grown in Europe or America or Australia. I hope you will explain like me when Wednesday when you express, so that, you know, when you really promote to policymakers, to extension people in your country, you have to tell these characters, and we have to promote these varieties. These varieties are developed by Africans. It's okay? Can I go? Very good. I'm just showing you, you know, thanks to the African Development Bank, the African Development Bank has put a lot of resources for the development of these varieties. And African Development Bank is really pushing agriculture, especially after the presidency of Dr. Akinmun Adesina. He was really pushing wheat to be grown in Africa, and he was supporting. And this is just to show you, it's a Nigerian farmer. I'm just bringing to you. He, by the way, is the president of the bank, Dr. Adesina, who came to our field to witness the heat-tolerant varieties. And the farmers, this is one of the farmers who used to get previously ToT. This same farmer is now getting. He was so happy to see, because he said, I want to mention for you, I think it is all true in all African countries. If you ask farmers in the old days, they say, my father was poor, a poor farmer. And he died while poor. And I knew that I took his land and I became a farmer with no hope to be a rich person. I live and die while poor. So I see no chance for my children to have a better life. This was farmers used to say in the past days, because what they produce is not for market and income. It's mainly for survival, yes, in Africa, subsistence. But when farmers get the right variety, that increase yield from 1 ton to 6 ton. And these are the farmers, if you saw also in the video, they say, with farming, I can be rich, I can create wealth, I can send my children to school, I can feed my family, I can have a decent housing, and I can be rich. So technology is a key driver. And this is what we saw from the farmers here. And we have tested all the wheat varieties for different, as you asked it, for cookies, pasta, spaghetti, you know, we tested them, we compared with the imported wheat. The heat-tolerant varieties are doing excellent, and they are fulfilling all the bread and milling and baking qualities. To import 5 million metric tons. But with this heat-tolerant variety, they changed the policy. And now they put a program to grow it on 500,000 hectares, 500,000 hectares. And I want to see this to happen in all African countries. We can do it. But the first thing is we have to show, demonstrate, and invite policymakers, farmers, private sector to see the potential of these heat-tolerant varieties. And we can also demonstrate the bread, spaghetti, macaroni from this. We can show and demonstrate compared to the one imported from outside. They are as good as the one imported from outside. Is it clear? And you know, there was a Minister of Agriculture there who visited and who committed to say from next year on we'll expand. And now they put, the government is investing now hundreds of millions of naira for wheat production next year. And we want this to happen in all countries. Is it clear? And I want to work with you. We should advocate and we should demonstrate the successful wheat technologies in the coming year in your respective countries. And this is also in Ethiopia. Look, the farmers who were, you know, look, these are all farmers invited to see how the heat-tolerant varieties are performing compared to what they have at hand. And you can see all these farmers. And they were asking, when do we get the seed? After they sowed. Because for farmers, seeing is believing. And this has changed a lot. And some of the farmers got up to 7 tons per hectare. And this is possible. It's not only in Europe or America. Our farmers can do it with the right technology, with the right extension package, and with the right support. Is it clear, or do you have any question? This is the approach we should follow. We demonstrate and we invite, look how the farmers are coming, you know, in thousands. And this was how the president of the bank was testing the wheat produced in Africa. And I really appreciate the bank promotion to drive all African countries. And now I think I'm very much sure all of your country policymakers, ministers of agriculture, they are highly sensitized. So we have a very good environment to push wheat in our respective countries. I would have loved, you know, if Razak, if he could have invited me earlier even, I would come with the wheat, with the different breads and spaghettis produced so that you can taste it here and see African wheat as good as the one which you buy from supermarkets. So what we plan next year is, once we promote, we organize field day, a national field day. And in the field day, we invite all stakeholders, farmers, seed producers, policymakers, and all millers, flour millers, bakeries, to see that there is no reason to import wheat from abroad. These are the varieties that all should support to expand and make agriculture and wheat production is a wealth creation. And you can see this is also a graph which shows before participating and after participating. You know, farmers, we took model farmers. When they start, they were getting 1.9 tons per hectare. It's not from one farmer. Model progressive farmer who adopt the technology, 4.3, and next 6.1 tons per hectare. This is happening in Sudan. This is happening in Kenya, this is happening in Ethiopia, this is happening in Nigeria, and we are seeing also model farmers in Mali, in Niger, who adopt the technology. So it is possible to replicate these success stories in all our countries. So once we talk about the variety, the second important thing is, even if we have variety, if you don't have a good system, seed system, if you don't produce sufficient amount of seed, for example, in the, what the challenge we face, I will come back to you. Look here. In the field day, when we demonstrate, thousands of farmers ask me, how can I get the seed? Next year I want to grow. I want to expand. But where can I get the seed? So if you don't develop a seed system, if you don't work with the private sector to produce sufficient amount of seed, all good plan will not be translated into action. So the second important thing is developing an accelerated seed system. I really want to read, productive and healthy agriculture depends on ToT high quality seed of new and improved varieties generated through breeding program. As you rightly asked, farmers' access to high quality seed of well adapted crop variety is central to transform agriculture. It's not only for wheat, this is also true for maize, for rice, for any crop. If you want to increase productivity, accessing farmers with high quality seed is important. But this is the biggest problem in Africa. But in wheat, we develop a system. Region level and at the village level. That makes transformation to happen in a short period of time. And now I will come, what are the different stages of seed production? Look, there are 4 stages of seed production. The one which goes to the farmers, as you all know, we call it certified seed. Certified seed are seed that we provide to our farmers, yes? But certified seed cannot happen all of a sudden unless we plan. There is, we call it nucleus seed and breeder seed. These are in the hands of research institutes. In the IAR, in your respective countries, and ICARDA, we work together to make sure that we have a clean, ToT seeds always maintained to avoid mixtures. And we give breeder seed to the private sector. We call it foundation seed. The private sector will multiply foundation seed, and what they get from foundation seed will become certified seed. Is it clear about the seed system? You have to know this, because it is important, as we said, the 4 stages of seed production. The breeder and nucleus seeds of heat-tolerant varieties are in the hands of research institutes. Okay? These are small quantity of seed. But clean seed, you see, 100% clean genetic. And we give this to the seed producers. We call it foundation seed. The seed producers, they produce quality seed inspected by seed regulatory organizations for their cleanness, for their plumpness. The seed that will be given to farmers is called certified seed. I think I want to leave free for you to ask, because this is an important aspect. You are the extension coordinators. You have to have this understanding. Seed cannot come all of a sudden. We cannot import seed. it should be produced in the country and produced by 3 agents. One, by research institutes for nucleus and breeder seed. And the breeder seed they produce, they will give to the seed producers. Okay? We call it foundation seed or basic seed. And they multiply now at scale, large scale. And give and produce certified seed. Certified should have 99% purity. And in all countries, I know that we have a seed laboratory agency in the Ministry of Agriculture. They inspect the quality of the seed. If it is not meeting this criteria, they will discard. It will not serve as a seed to be given to farmers. Because for farmers to get 5 ton, 6 ton, 7 ton, they should get a clean seed. True type seed. Is it clear? Thank you. I will be happy to see you on Wednesday. You make a presentation by your own. I want to hear from you.
D'abord, je voulais savoir pourquoi il n'est pas possible d'importer les semences des pays frontaliers, comme le Mali et autres qui le font. Maintenant, parce que si on veut convaincre les parties prenantes, il est mieux de commencer à présenter une exploitation de blé qui a produit correctement et les différentes fabrications qu'on a pu faire avec. C'est plus facile de convaincre les gens comme ça que de faire juste un plaidoyer verbal et puis demander que des actions de production de semences soient soutenues par les politiques. Voilà. Donc, je me disais, peut-être pour les pays qui n'ont pas encore commencé à produire, la meilleure procédure serait de faire d'abord une démonstration. Maintenant, si vous dites qu'on ne peut pas importer la semence, ça sera compliqué. Merci.
Import from Europe or America. I am not saying in Africa. In Africa, for example, there is a seed company called Sidco. They produce in Niger, they sell to Mali, they sell to Burkina, they sell to Senegal. So in Africa it is possible. And we promote this. You are 100% right. But one thing is important. Seed producers, they can only produce if they have a contract for market. You know, for example, in your country, if you need next year 100 ton seed, if they know that this demand is coming, yes, you are right, they can produce here in Niger and they can, you can import from here. It is, and this is, we strongly support. And there are companies that are producing seed and selling to different African countries within. It is, I am saying when I say import, not from America or Europe or Australia. Is it clear? Thank you for the question. Very nicely articulated.
La diapositive, il y a des diapositives là où il y a les différentes variétés au Niger, Nigeria, Soudan, Éthiopie, Mali. Mais moi, je voulais vraiment assez que pour faciliter les échanges, qu'on puisse trouver une variété entre les deux pays qui sont voisins. Par exemple, entre le Niger et le Mali, si on peut trouver une seule variété, ou bien les 3 variétés qu'on trouve au Niger, on les trouve aussi au Mali. Et non 3 différentes variétés au Mali et qui est différente aussi au Niger. Merci.
Here is only 2 plants, you know. We call it breeder seed. Thank you for your question, Madam. You are, when we say breeder seed, we want to maintain all the time the true type of the seed maintained under good seed storage facility by the wheat experts. all the time, they bring every time, clean seed, because otherwise, when we multiply to foundation and basic seed, look, you see here, 100% clean. You know, but when you come here, cleanness, there are some mixtures, natural mixtures, you know. As I said, wheat is 95% self-pollinated, but there is 5% that come out closed. So if you don't maintain always clean seed, in 2, 3, 4 years time, the seed will be mixture. And the seed companies, as you said, from Mali to, you can import to Cameroon or Niger or Senegal, but from private companies like Sidco, like private companies who produce it, but they produce and you can buy and we can transport from one country to the other within West Africa. But this system is very important if you want to maintain the productivity and the quality every year. If you don't have this system, it will not be sustainable. One, in terms of providing sufficient quantity of seed. Second, in terms of providing quality seed. Is it clear? Any question? Thank you.
Vous avez présenté par exemple toute la géopolitique pour pouvoir produire en Afrique, produire du blé en Afrique. Est-ce que vous vous êtes rassuré que ces barrières ont été enlevées? Est-ce que, bon, on voudrait avoir une idée, ça suit effectivement ce qu'il dit, parce que les centres de recherche, je ne sais pas, au Cameroun, je ne pense pas s'il y a un service même qui travaille là-dessus, parce qu'au Cameroun, il y avait, au temps de l'ancien président, toute une société créée pour pouvoir résorber la production du blé au Cameroun même. Après, les Français ont tout fait, parce que c'est eux-mêmes qui sont à l'origine de nos centres de recherche. L'organigramme dans ces centres de recherche sont taillés sur mesure, où c'est difficile. Donc, ils ont extirpé toutes ces productions-là pour qu'on importe. Donc, on voulait se rassurer, est-ce que vous avez pris déjà à la hiérarchie, notamment la banque et autres, pour pouvoir enlever toutes ces barrières-là?
For you to really understand and master it, this one, when you go home, our entry point is the following. For next year, we will communicate. We will also communicate the research institute. And the African Development Bank is communicating at the head of state level and at the ministry. So we come from both sides. And what we do is, next year, as I said to you, if you want to make a change, the most important thing is seeing is believing. We demonstrate these heat-tolerant varieties in your countries in a very good place as we started the training, and I will join you again. All the package applied in the farmer's field, and we will show how our varieties are really giving superior yield, 4 to 6 tons per hectare in your country in the farmer's field. And what we do is we organize a national field day where we invite, as you said it, policymakers, seed producers, all private companies, millers, to come and see the potential in your country, how these varieties are doing and doing excellent, so that they can be replicated in large scale to stop importation. Because seeing is believing. If you don't show on the ground, only talking is not enough. And for farmers, for next year, to adopt and take it, they want to see happening in the farmer's field how these varieties are performing. And then we organize a training together with you for the extension people, for the research team to scale up, to expand to more farmers. But farmers will only take it when they see and believe that this variety is working in the demonstration field. So this is the approach we did in other countries like Ethiopia, Sudan, Tanzania, Nigeria, and we want to duplicate this, and now there is a good political will. The bank, the countries, and what is happening also now in Ukraine and Russia is even bringing more signal. Even if African leaders, they have money, dollars, there is no wheat in the market. So let us take this as an opportunity. Because in Africa, we cannot remain poor while others are rich, while we have the technology, we have the land, we have the people. So it requires our drive, our commitment. If we work together, we can make it happen. This is the approach we do. Next year, we show, I will send you the seed, the initial seed. We will train the seed. ICARDA will send you to all. And you have also these release varieties, and we will show in wheat farm large scale for all of them to come and witness, like the one which I showed you. This was the demonstration. I will come back to you. Governors and the bank presidents and all extensionists, seed producers, we invited them to see how the wheat looks like. And we are not the one to talk. The farmers are the one talking to them. I used to get 1 ton. Now with this variety, look, he is so impressed even to express himself. And this has got a domino effect. A domino effect. It will change the mindset of farmers immediately. And look here in Ethiopia, how farmers were really impressed in looking at. And these farmers were asking with a microphone, how can we get the seed in Sudan and changing the lives? But when they saw, we were not even expecting the president to come. But the president, because they are spending over $500 million every year to import wheat. Then, when they saw the president came, next year, we have to reduce wheat importation by 50%. I will spend millions of dollars for wheat expansion in the country. That is policy. This is what is the approach we follow together in all your countries. And ICARDA is highly committed to support you, to work with you, to promote with you, and we can train our national extension and research team to demonstrate these success stories in the farm. Is it clear? Yeah. And it's possible. And I think you will be proud of at the end of the day. You become as a change agent. If you change the situation in your country, I think we all come and we go. Yeah? Nobody is living in this world for a lifetime. But if you become the reason to change and create opportunity for our farmers, for our country, to feed the wheat that is produced in the country, instead of spending, every country every year spend hundreds of millions of dollars for wheat importation. So I think we can make it happen. It is possible, and it is time for us, I believe. That's why I'm so committed to really come and participate in this kind of meeting. And let us take this as an opportunity. You can ask any question. I'm ready to help you. And in the future, I'm ready to communicate with you and promote this agenda.
Donc, avec les images qui viennent de présenter, il y a le président du Soudan. Non, c'est le Nigeria. Voilà, ici. Non, non, pas ici.
Yeah, this was.
De toute façon, il y a des autorités vraiment de haut niveau. Ils étaient sur le site. Avec le président,
Yes, here.
voilà, le président de la banque était là, il y avait,
President of the bank,
voilà,
Minister of Agriculture, state governors,
ok, voilà.
all extension, research team, private seed producers, and millers, flour millers.
Ok, donc c'est pour vous dire que vous voyez que là, il y a vraiment une volonté politique derrière la production du blé. Et vous voyez que par eux, comparé à certains pays, ils sont beaucoup en avance, parce que la politique les accompagne. Dans certains pays, par exemple, il y a pas les pays membres de l'ABN, il y a 9 pays. Et on va se rendre compte que dans ces pays, peut-être que d'autres sont un peu en avance, par exemple, le Nigeria par exemple, peut-être le Niger aussi un peu, le Mali, mais les autres, je ne pense pas que ça soit trop avancé. Maintenant, au niveau des TAAT, ou au niveau de la base, je ne sais pas où. Maintenant, qu'est-ce que vous faites pour amener, en tout cas, le gouvernement de ces États qui ne s'intéressent pas trop à la production du blé, qu'est-ce que vous faites pour les amener à s'intéresser vraiment à la production du blé? Parce que c'est vrai, nous on va venir, on va se former. Mais quand on va répartir, s'il n'y a pas de volonté politique, ce n'est pas évident que ce que nous on va prendre ici, là, ça va servir à grand chose. Nous voir le
And it is a blessing in disguise, I say. What happened, in the past, our political leaders, so long as they have money to buy wheat from Europe or America, as you said it, they were not as such, they don't think wheat is going to succeed in their country. So they were mainly focusing to import wheat from cheap place. Now, even if they have dollars, there is no place to import wheat. Russia said no. Russia is the world's largest supplier of wheat, 30%. Ukraine, the largest wheat supplier. That's why now African countries are now, there is an emergency plan in Africa to produce wheat within Africa by using this technology. So it's a good advantage for us. Now, our policymakers sensitized. What we need to do now is, sensitization is good, but not enough. We have to show these technologies in your country, by clustering farmers in one big demonstration field. The best performance of this variety next season. Then we invite policymakers, the bank, private sector, flour millers to come and see. They come and see not because of they want to get favor for you, because they will benefit. Millers, they will be benefiting more if we give more seed and more grain from the country. Seed producers, they will be happy to produce more seeds if there is huge demand. Farmers, as you can see, I have a lot of pictures. We will not be successful. All the fertilizer, all the irrigation we apply will fail. So, the most and important intervention is when we show in your country the impact of these heat-tolerant varieties. We should show with a very good land preparation, and there is a good practice when we demonstrate this. And a very good prepared land will assure you to get 4 to 6 tons per hectare. No doubt about it. That's why this is an important aspect. After, we say technology first, yes, you have seen the heat tolerant. And then we say the seed system. And the most important, the third is, before any planting, is the land preparation activity. And wheat can be successfully grown on all soil types. It can grow on all soil types that are well drained and productive. Well drained and productive. But wheat grow best in deep well-drained, fertile, clay-loam or sandy-loam soil. And as you know, the primary purpose of land preparation are to create soil structure favorable for the crop growth. If there is no good seed bed, the plant will not grow vigorous, the plant will not produce more tillers. So for the plant to produce more tillers and to be very stout and very strong, land preparation is a key factor. And generally, wheat crop requires 1 deep plowing followed by 2 times harrowing. You know, we have this on the recommendation. 1 deep plowing and 2 harrowing is good enough to make the seed bed very well prepared for wheat production. So that at the end you will have a soil like this. Have you seen? This is a good comparison of a good prepared land, and you know, if you leave it and if you plant, this is poorly prepared. Can you see it from distance? This is ready for planting. With this land preparation, heat tolerant varieties, they can do excellent. But with this, there is a lot of clothes. Clothes means, you know, soil that is not pulverized. The seed cannot grow, you know, in the clothes. Difficult for irrigation. Difficult for fertilization. So, I think I want you to practice also on Wednesday on the soil preparation, and I want you to make a presentation so that when you go home, you can very well explain for others on the importance, because land preparation is the most important factor for successful wheat production. Here it says, during land preparation, proper attention should be given to avoid the following problems, you know, that may encounter at time of sowing. Number 1, if the land may not be plowed properly, clods or crust hinder. You know, these are clods. They don't let the seed to grow. Even if the seed grows, they will not have enough tillers. You know, that is, you know. The second is, when the land preparation is completed too long before planting time, weeds have been an advantage over the crops. Land preparation should be done and completed just before planting. But if you do it quite earlier and leave it, the weed will grow. So timing is also very important. And the third is placement of seeds at the wrong depths cause poor germination. We'll see later on. If the soil is like not well plowed, one go deep, one go up, the seed depth is not uniform, they will not get fertilizer. Will be a major reason for not achieving what we expect to achieve. And as I said, 1 deep plowing and 2 harrowing is good for land preparation for wheat. And this is very much possible, and our farmers can easily adopt it. It's not. The plants are growing on the, you know, and this is for the waterway. I saw in some countries, they simply, flood irrigation, they simply let the water to flood. That is bad because it will wash away the seed. Here, the seed will be washed away. So you see one place, yeah. So this is a very important agronomic practice. Do you have any question on this before we move to the next? Much deeper than that. The bed will be, let me. I hope this one is the one. Can you see it? The seed will be on the ridge. And this, when you plant it, it should be just a 5 centimeter. There is a seed planter, driller, which drills the seed on the surface of the ridge. And the water will be irrigated, so the plant gets water through lateral systems. This is a very, one plowing and 2 harrowing or disc harrowing, making the soil pulverized, is a good package for a successful wheat growth. If it goes to 10 centimeters, it will be deep for the plant to come out. So there is a seed planter, driller, which puts the seed on about 5 centimeter distance into the soil. Is it clear? After lunch, it is heavy, no? So that's why I want to start with the video. The video is just to create also an inspiration, This morning you asked me, how can we start next year such best practice in your respective country? So I'm just showing you one good experience in Nigeria, how policymakers and all partners have worked together to drive the wheat agenda. And just is a video. It gives you an inspiration. We want next year in your country to do the same thing. And I want you to see the video and then to give your suggestion, okay? And it makes you active after lunch. And instead of on the PowerPoint, sometimes it's good to see. So this is a work, TAAT and SARDC project. The heat-tolerant varieties, how it changed the wheat production transformation in Nigeria. It is happening. So just have a look at it, It is just a story, very good story, an actual story. Solving African growing. Can you see it from distance? Can you hear the voice? Nigeria currently imports 4 million tons of wheat every year. Increasing its susceptibility. The local is very susceptible.
The cultivation of wheat in Nigeria.
He is the research head.
of which were being used. And these local varieties were of low yield, about 600 kilograms to 1 ton per hectare.
Yeah, 1 ton per hectare.
Average national yield. Not only that, these local varieties were susceptible to pests, disease, and lodging.
How can? This is traditional way, how they do.
Which is not exceeding more than the job. The new varieties developed by ICAGA and
Mike, can we put?
has a special characteristics.
Il faut mettre un micro à côté.
Three important aspects.
Non, à côté
One,
de-
these new varieties are giving a yield advantage of 4 to 6 tons per hectare and a farm state, which is threefold higher than compared to the national average.
I think it's good that you see it because you can very well replicate in your country.
So it brings higher productivity and higher.
It's okay now?
The second benefit
Can you hear it?
varieties are they have fulfilling the quality criteria. Which
Let me bring you back because it's better to listen what the problem was initially.
The cultivation of wheat in Nigeria dates back to 16th century. That time, local varieties of wheat were being used, and these local varieties were of low yield, about 600 kilograms to 1 ton per hectare was the average national yield. Not only that, these local varieties were susceptible to pests, disease, and lodging.
This is a very traditional way how they cultivate.
the new varieties developed by ICAGA and its partners has a special characteristics on 3 important aspects. One, these new varieties are giving a yield advantage of 4 to 6 tons per hectare and a farmer's rate, which is threefold higher than compared to the national average of Nigerian wheat, which is not exceeding more than 1.5 to 2 tons per hectare. So it brings higher productivity and higher income for the farmers. The second benefit of the new varieties are they have fulfilling the quality criteria which are needed for different chemical qualities. So these varieties are competing to the one which are imported goods from outside Nigeria.
The success has caught attention of Nigerian policymakers, who now consider domestic production as a key priority. This is the president of the bank.
And that is both significant economic, social, political risk to this country. And therefore we must change that. And that is why Mr. President, as part of the agricultural transformation agenda, launched also the wheat transformation agenda. And I told them I will not do political wheat. But that if we find the right science and technology, the right policies that allows us to produce wheat economically and competitively,
The challenge is now how to distribute more seeds. This is a bank-supported project. Let me bring you the one from Mali. The other one. No, not this one. Not this one. Sorry. This is also a field day in Mali with heat-tolerant varieties.
Une culture stratégique pour la sécurité alimentaire dans notre pays. C'est pour montrer toute l'importance de cette culture dans les stratégies de sécurité alimentaire de notre pays. Face aux besoins énormes, le Mali n'arrive même pas à produire un tiers de ses besoins. Et nous avons un potentiel réel de production de cette culture, d'abord au nord et ensuite à
This is a field day, field demonstration day. This head of office du Niger, the head. I think this is a repetition. Thank you very much. What I'm trying to say, no matter how good variety we have, if we don't bring policy makers, if we don't bring decision makers, it will not bring the way we want to see impact in a short period of time. So what I'm expecting to work with you next year. When we promote, let us sensitize policy makers, let us sensitize local authorities to come and see the good work and to partner with us for large-scale multiplication and expansion in the coming years. This success can happen in all your countries. It is possible. As we said, the bank is also communicating them, but when you go back home also, please sensitize, share what you have discussed here, what you have seen here, and let us bring the commitment of policymakers to expand wheat in your respective countries. Is it okay? Thank you. I think now we can go our afternoon session. this afternoon, what we are planning to do is, in the morning, if you remember, I will just summarize. We saw the pre-season, you know, the heat tolerant wheat varieties, the seed multiplication, and land preparation. Now what we are going to see this afternoon is the planting method, planting type, the seed rates, and then the fertilizer application, method of application, frequency of application for fertilizer, and then the irrigation amount, irrigation scheduling, and irrigation critical period to get the maximum yield of 4 to 6 tons per hectare, unlike the traditional varieties which gives not more than 1.5 tons per hectare. Is it okay? Good. So please stop me anywhere when you have questions, when you want clarifications. So now what we are going to see is the in-season. What are the most important management packages that are useful for a wheat to give a yield of 4 to 6 tons per hectare? This is very important. One is the seed rates, planting depths, planting the space, and the second is fertilizer amount, fertilizing time and quantity, and the third is irrigation. So we'll see today this, and I will be happy that if you stop in between and ask and interact so that you can understand it. Okay? Good. So we start with sowing time. Appropriate sowing time for the crop could result in higher economic yield without involving extra cost, as it helps varieties to express their full growth potential. If you remember, this morning we said, what is the appropriate time for heat tolerant wheat varieties? Is there anyone who can tell me from our discussion today? What is the appropriate time for planting heat tolerant varieties in West Africa countries? When does it start?
From November to March.
Excellent. From November to March. Because this is a relatively cooler season, yes? And this is a season where other crops are not growing normally. So this is the time that you have to always have in mind when we grow it. Early planting produces greater number of spike, heavier grain, and highest grain yield, while late planting affects this character adversely. Another thing which I want to tell you, if you plant wheat instead of November to December or January, no matter how you apply fertilizer, no matter how good you prepare the soil, no matter how you irrigate, you will not get the yield. March to April and May, the temperature will be even sometimes goes close to 45, 48. When the temperature is going high, very high, it will reduce the yield. Okay? That's why we are saying relatively cooler season between November and March. Yeah. This is a time between when the temperature is between 25 to 40 degrees centigrade. But if it goes above, it will compromise our yield and it will be lesser yield. So planting time is the most important. You understand, yes? Delaying will cost us yield. And delaying also affect planting of other crops after March. There are many crops coming in May, June, like maize, like sorghum or rice. Early sown crop mature earlier than those sown later. So when we plant earlier during November, they mature much faster than late planting. Timely sowing of irrigated wheat results in higher yield, and it is most likely to escape from injury of disease, pest, and extreme heat. Is it okay? Can I go ahead? It's clear? Good. The second is row spacing and sowing depths. Wheat production is greatly affected by sowing depths. If you plant with the wrong depths, the plant will not germinate uniformly. Some of the seeds even will not come out. So sowing depths is the most important agronomic management. Sowing depth significantly influenced the seedling emergence, crop stand establishment, and vigor index. Sowing depths also play a crucial role to ensure plants develop sufficient anchorage to minimize the effect of lodging. If you put it on the surface, the root will not anchor, so they can easily fall. So we have to make a proper sowing depth for planting. Shallow sowing reduces the capacity of the wheat plant to develop adequate secondary root structure and anchor points and predispose the crop to lodging. If it is just floating on the surface of the soil, the root cannot go inside. The root cannot also utilize the fertilizers we put, like phosphorus, and the plant can easily fall by winds. Okay. Generally, planting depth should be between 4 and 5 centimeters. Planting beyond this depth results in poor stand. If it goes 10 centimeters or 15 centimeters in the soil, it cannot grow up. So this is very important for successful plant establishment. The other is row spacing, spacing between row. Row spacing can exhibit substantial effect on growth yield and yield-related attributes of wheat. Poor spacing can help to optimize tillering capacity and improve the yield component of the wheat. Optimum row spacing is important not only for higher grain yield, but also for reducing lodging. For irrigated wheat, timely sown wheat, a spacing of 20 centimeters is the most recommended, from one row to the other row spacing. Is it clear? The roots, the seed depth is 5 centimeters, the spacing 20. If it is less than 20, the plant will come together and there will be more competition. And the tillers will not grow the way it is supposed to be. There is more competition for nutrient. Is it clear? And more competition for water. The seed rate. Now we saw, you remember, the seed depths, seed row, and now the seed rate. How much seed is needed for 1 hectare? Tomorrow you present, okay? Then you become a wheat professional. Yeah. Generally, a seed rate of ranging from 100 kilogram per hectare has been found very sufficient for 1 hectare. There are 2 types. Now I am giving you the best But if farmers broadcast by hand like this, the seed rate should go up to 120 kilogram. But we don't recommend this. Because when you broadcast like this, some of the seeds, they are close together. There is more competition for food, nutrient, sunlight, yes? And the tillers will not come out, the tillers will not grow. So always recommended is raw planting and 100 kilogram per hectare is the best optimum amount. Good.
What's the seed rate per hole? Seed rate
Per
hole.
hole one.
Okay.
One. Yes. That's why we say the seed system, we have to be sure that it is a good seed, a clean seed. 99% we say that, you remember? So there is, all will germinate. No risk of losing. Is it clear? Okay. Now sowing method. The problem in Africa, why we have very low yield in most of the countries, farmers buy fertilizer, farmers buy seed, farmers prepare the good land, but they broadcast mostly in Africa. That's why the productivity is very, very poor. So, sowing method, selection of suitable sowing method for wheat play an important role in placement of seed at proper depths, which ensure better emergence and good subsequent crop growth. There are two options, broadcast and drill, but broadcast is not recommended. Don't recommend any farmer adopting improved heat tolerant variety to go for broadcasting. Because broadcasting by hand is not uniform. So the best way is drilling. Drilling has an advantage over broadcasting. It helps in the cultural operation, mechanized with control, herbicide application, require less seed and facilitate rogging and field inspection. If it is raw planted, it's not only for the good. It's good for water, it's good for fertilizer application, it's good for weed control, and very suitable for harvesting. Thank you very much. So, when you communicate back to your country, you have to say, broadcasting is not recommended. Our farmers usually say, they know in their past story only broadcasting, so they say, why not I go this way? No. You know, as I told you, wheat is grown on two methods. One, rain-fed wheat production. Second is irrigated wheat production. Irrigated wheat production should be used with raw planting. But rain-fed production, there are two options. One, broadcasting, because of the rain which is coming from the top doesn't require water to go. They can apply broadcasting, and for broadcasting we recommend even more seed rate, up to 130 kilogram. But for rain-fed, where we use irrigation, 100 kilogram per hectare is the correct recommendation. Is it clear now? Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Nice, good observation. And good observation. But in West Africa, wheat is recommended to grow under irrigation from November to March. But if you go to Tanzania, if you go to Zimbabwe, if you go to Kenya, wheat is planted in June, in July. There, here June, July is summer. There, June, July is winter, rain. So, overall Africa, this is overall Africa. So, yeah. So, the planting time, the rainfall, and the management is completely different. Good. And we don't grow, even in the Kenya, Tanzania, we don't grow heat-tolerant varieties. Heat-tolerant is for this hot environment. Okay? So it varies. You know, Africa is 54 countries. Big agroecology. Here is summer, the other place is winter. Okay. But very good observation. Thank you.
Ok, merci. Je voudrais revenir sur la fertilisation. J'ai suivi ici que pour la fertilisation, vous utilisez les engrais binaires, la DAP. Or, quand je reviens dans le contexte camerounais, la DAP a fait les engrais binaires sont un peu rares. On a plutôt les engrais tertiaires, NPK.
Correct.
On a plusieurs variétés,
Very good.
Plusieurs formulations, la 20-10-10, la 20-10-15, plusieurs formulations. Alors, dans ce contexte, vous nous conseillez donc quelle quantité par hectare, n'est-ce pas, d'NPK pour pouvoir réussir une culture de blé?
Yeah. You know, soil test, the most shortage one is nitrogen and phosphorus, elemental, you know, but there are soil types which needs also sulfur. 60-20. 60 kilogram nitrogen, elemental. 60 kilogram phosphorus, 20 kilogram, 60 kilogram nitrogen, 60 kilogram phosphorus, and 20 kilogram sulfur. In some soil, sulfur is also a shortage, but not in all soils. It's okay? It's okay? Hello? Did you get my point? Yes. So what we say, we call it elemental formula. NPS, nitrogen, potassium, sulfur. And when in the soil, the sulfur is shortage, we recommend also 60-20. So there is a combination. But still, the soil must be tested because not all soil is shortage of sulfur. Not all soil. So testing is very important to make a recommendation. Yeah. But I know in Cameroon, I know in Nigeria, and NPS, we call it NPS. In some country also NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. So there is variation, but the most dominant and most important are nitrogen and phosphorus. Very good point. Appreciated. Thank you. I like your question and interaction. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. I think I like the interaction. I think you are really, even after lunch, you are very, thank you so much. I think we are a good team to promote wheat in Africa. The main cause of nutrient deficiency in wheat production. Why do we apply this especially? Why do we apply in major quantity nitrogen and phosphorus? And in some soil, sulfur or potassium? Because of the following 6 reasons. 1, not enough fertilizer was applied in the previous years of harvest and caused nutrient depletion in the soil. For example, if the previous crop, if a farmer grow maize and harvest in September, or rice, the whole soil, rice or maize is depleting all the nutrients. So this is the reason why we need a soil test and why we should apply fertilizer so that the plant can get enough food to grow. And the second is fertilizer applied is lost to leaching. Now I should give you also one additional information. I hope you know it. You know nitrogen, urea. Urea should be utilized by the plant immediately. If it is not utilized by the plant immediately, the urea become volatile. For example, if you apply all urea at the planting time, all the recommendation one time, the plant is very small, germinating. They can only take certain amount. They are very small. But the rest will be lost. So we have to know that the amount and time of application is very important. Otherwise, if you apply all at one time, the plant after tillering stage, I will show you what tillering means. The nitrogen is there, the plant want to grow, but you can say, oh, I applied the whole, why? But nitrogen is volatile. If you don't use immediately, it will denitrify. It goes to the air. So it is important to have this knowledge. Very important that farmers apply the right quantity at the right time. The other point is, if you don't clean from weeds, if you apply fertilizer without removing weeds from the field, the weeds also take the food. And this will also affect, even if you apply the recommended amount, if you don't remove weeds, you will not get the required yield because there is competition. And the other, very important, if you keep the irrigation water staying on the irrigation field for longer time, the nitrogen will be volatile and will be lost without being used by the plant. Yeah. Is it clear? Yes? Okay.
So is it at this stage?
I will come. The stage I will come.
Okay, so is it at this stage that we apply lime?
Yes, I will come when to apply. I will come. When to apply phosphorus, when to apply nitrogen.
No, I'm talking about lime.
Lime is for acid soil. Lime we need is for acidic soil. Soil with high content of iron and aluminium. Yeah. Is it clear? Okay. Yeah. This is to neutralize the iron and the aluminium. We have to apply the limestone so that iron and aluminium will not be toxic for the plant. But this is not a major problem in West Africa. This is mainly a major problem in the Eastern and Southern Africa. Yeah. Okay. So, when wheat crop requires adequate quantity of nitrogen at each stage of development to realize maximum. Nitrogen requirement of wheat is important from emergence to grain filling. That's very important. The plant needs nitrogen from emergence all the way to grain filling stage. Wheat is highly responsive to nitrogen fertilizer and it is most essential nutrient required in the highest dose compared to other nutrients. Of all crops, of all fertilizers, nitrogen is the most important, which means urea, for the plant to develop and give a good yield, maximum yield. Additional of nitrogen soil comes from, for example, if you have farmyard manure, for example, if you apply 4 to 6 ton manure per hectare, it is almost equivalent to applying 100 kg urea. So, not only chemical fertilizer, we can get also nitrogen from manure. If you have cattle, and if you mix with our soil, the nitrogen or the organic content of the soil will increase, which means your fertilizer application will be reduced because there is high nitrogen in the soil. The other is, for example, you have beans. You know beans, yes? If you grow, if your previous crop is beans, like mung bean, haricot bean, groundnuts, you know what the advantage they have? They fix nitrogen from the air, and at harvest, they enrich the soil. So the soil has higher nitrogen. That's why soil test is important. If you have nitrogen fixing plant as a precursor crop, your fertilizer requirement will be low. But if you have a crop like maize, rice, they deplete. They don't add, they deplete. So the crop story, you have to see on the field, when you have ready to select your field, you have to ask, what was the crop grown before? It is very important, very, very important. If the previous crop is beans, the fertilizer requirement will be very less because of high nitrogen fixation in the soil. So the other is nitrogen loss happen because from waterlogged field, warm and very wet and poor aerated field, the nitrogen will be lost. We have to make sure that our field is not locked by water. So, how can we achieve higher nitrogen use efficiency? By appropriate time, method, rate, and source of application. Time of application. Application is recommended split application. For example, if 100 kilogram of urea or nitrogen is recommended, or 60 kilogram of nitrogen, or 100 kilogram of urea, you apply the first half at planting and the second half at tillering stage. Is it clear now? You shouldn't, if you apply fertilizer, look here. Time of split application, which means we don't apply nitrogen one time. One at half dose at planting, and the remaining half dose when the plant reach 3 to 4 leaf stage. We call it tillering. When it has got many tillers, that is the stage it needs more. And rate of application based on soil test, as I said. Method of application, urea must be incorporated in the soil after side dressing. Just basal, if we plant the seed here, the fertilizer at the basal. So the plant root can easily utilize the urea. But phosphorus is different. Unlike urea, phosphorus is very immobile. Immobile? It doesn't move. It will stay in the soil for a long period of time. So if you apply fertilizer at planting, it is enough for the crop around the root zone. Root zone means 10 to 15 centimeter. So fertilizer, phosphorus, you can apply one time at planting. That is okay because it will not be volatile. It is immobile. So your crop can use effectively phosphorus from the planting stage without any problem. Is it clear? Good. Requires at least 450 millimeter water in the crop lifetime. That is around a total 6 to 10 days irrigation interval in the lowlands. If the temperature is very high, you can irrigate every 6. But if still the temperature is not that very high, you can go up to 7, 8, 9 days. So there is a room for that. Look, this is the stage. This is what I say. If you see the plant, I want to show there, you can, I want to show them tillering stage. When do you see when the plant has got more tillers? Which stage?
Fourth stage. No, at fifth stage.
Fifth stage. That's why I said between 4 to 6. Okay? Fifth week is average. But at fourth stage, it starts too. But in the fifth and sixth, more tillers. They need more food. So it is important when to give the food. If you don't give the food at the right time, it will not be good for the plant, because if it is not getting at the right time, it will be thin. Then if you feed more later on, it will not give the yield we are expecting to achieve. So irrigation scheduling, I want to emphasize one very important thing, especially for West Africa countries. Irrigation has a good advantage, but also it has got a risk. For example, if you have excess enough water and we apply excess, there is another big risk that is coming with it. You know, in the arid and hot environment, when there is excess water, what will happen with the water? The water goes down into the soil, excess water. And when it goes down into deep in the soil, after the root zone off, after 60, 70 centimeter, the salt accumulation from the soil, when the water is getting down, the salt will go up. So if you don't irrigate our soil properly, in 3-4 years' time, the salt will come out to the root zone. They will close to the root zone, as I said, between 15 to 20 centimeters. If the salt is reaching to that level, wheat cannot resist salt. So irrigation amount and scheduling is very important. We cannot irrigate every day, every time. It will completely destroy our soil. Many African countries, they have had this problem, and elimination of excess salt is very, very expensive. You have to wash the salt with excess water. When you wash the salt with excess water to go down, you also lose the soil nutrient. It's not only for wheat. Any crop cannot grow if the salt is coming to the root zone. So, irrigation scheduling is very important. Is it clear? We cannot irrigate every 2 days, every 3 days. Not because it is not good for the plant, but also it will completely destroy our land. After 3 years, you abandon. Very important, very, very important aspect. So there are two ways to irrigate. One, as I said, if you irrigate between the recommended 6 to 10 day cycle, that is good. The second is there is a measurement, soil moisture measurement, where you test the water content in the soil. When it reaches to 60%, when the water content in the soil is 60%, that is the right time to apply. But in our case, we recommend you apply usually between every week application is recommended. And the second The irrigation frequency also vary from soil type. For example, if your soil type is sandy loam, and if your soil type is clay loam, do you think they will have the same irrigation requirement? No. Yeah? Anyone can answer.
Because of retention capacity. Different retention capacity.
Yes, which one requires more water?
Clay will retain water than the sand.
Eh?
Clay will retain water more than sand.
Thank you. The sand will percolate.
Yes.
Thank you. So, sandy soil requires more frequency, which means every 6-7 days. Clay loam soil, 8 days, because they retain more water. Is it clear? Very good. I really appreciate you are becoming a wheat scientist. I'm so happy. And it is very important to know your soil type. When you plant wheat, you have to know what is the soil type. Is it clay loam? Is it sandy loam? It affects also your frequency of application. So, the critical stage of application, I have showed you already. So, let us come here. You see the middle, the water, how the water is? Yeah. You know, if you have the slope, the water, sorry, I should show you. The water goes. So, it is very important to apply the amount, the frequency, and also very important, method of application. Not flood irrigation. What do we need for soil to apply? We need soil test. And the most important fertilizers are nitrogen and phosphorus. But in some soil, there is potassium and sulfur, NPK or NPS. But K and S small amounts. So soil test is very important. For nitrogen, we don't apply one time because of its volatility. For phosphorus, no problem. For sulfur, no problem. If you go to America, they apply liquid nitrogen with the crop at flowering stage because nitrogen is good for seed with high protein content. But they usually use, aerial spray. So in our case, a split application is the most recommended. When it comes to irrigation, it is very important that we irrigate with the right amount, with the right frequency, and based on soil types. And no irrigation during high temperature. And don't apply excess irrigation because there is high risk of salinity.